Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel Surviving Narcissism Together. In my last video, I spoke about the different types of narcissists and some common traits that could help you recognize a narcissist as well as the narcissistic abuse cycle using my story as an example. Today, I want to go a bit deeper because understanding the cycle is just the beginning. Breaking it is where healing really starts. So in this video, I'll share how I broke free from the narcissist in my life and some steps you could take to get your power back. In order to break free from this cycle, the very first thing you need to do is acknowledge that you are being abused. And I think this was really a hard thing for me to grasp because I was with a COVID narcissist. So the signs were really subtle. It wasn't in front of my face like a malignant narcissist. With a COVID narcissist, it wasn't physical and it wasn't loud. I remember when I was with him, I'd be tremendously love bombed, tremendously flattered, like I explained in the last video, where the cycle starts with idealization, then devaluation, then it goes to discard, then it goes to hoovering, and then you're basically recycled to restart that whole process again. So I went from that being love bombed and flattered to then gaslighted, to then given a silent treatment when I'd call him out on, hey, your comments are mean, or you're twisting my truths, or your energy is different. Then he'd give me the silent treatment, almost like he was punishing me for calling him out on what he was obviously doing to me. And it was just a cycle that kept repeating. And I remember thinking to myself, is this really abuse? If I'm not being, he's not being physical with me, is this really abuse? But it was emotional abuse. Deep inside, I felt so drained, I felt so confused, I felt so small, like I was losing myself. So I really had to acknowledge what was going on. The thing with narcissists is that while every relationship has its ups and downs, with narcissists, it almost is like a very high. When you're good with them, is you're on a high, and then when you're bad with them, you're on a low. So as you go up with them, they drop you right down. So that's what makes the fall very hard. You have these constant periods of high highs and low lows, and there's no in between. There's no common ground for you all to meet. So that's the thing with them. And it's that cycle, and it's what causes you to get really drained. I mean, if you're constantly questioning your reality, 1 minute you're feeling in love, the next minute you're not feeling loved, you're feeling like you're never enough, you're feeling like you need to walk on eggshells in order to be loved. Hey, guess what? That's not love, that's control. Acknowledgement is really key, because if you don't acknowledge what is happening, the way in which the cycle repeats is that, and this is why I said in my previous video that hovering is maybe the most crucial stage. You need to recognize what is happening. When after that discard phase, because you in a sense think, okay, it's over and they're done with me, while you're all broken, but you in your mind you accept that it's over, they come back. These creatures do come back, and they put on a mask. They put on a mask that maybe you want to see. They put on a mask where they put back on that mask where they were initially sweet, someone that you met in the first place. They were sweet, they said, hey, I messed up, I shouldn't have done this, I should have treated you better, and you're thinking, hey, yeah, you did mess up, but I'll give you a second chance. Don't. Every time they come back, I promise it will get worse, because now they know how to trick you, how to fool you, and that you're going to keep falling for it. This is why no contact is very important. When the narcissist puts on back these masks, or even new masks that could capture your attention, this is where the cycle repeats. They'd restart love bombing you. You look so great. They start by giving you compliments. I should have treated you better. They start back the love bombing to get supply from you again, while they still have this new supply on the side, by the way, because narcissists love supply. They just love supply. So after really acknowledging it and saying, hey, I don't even want to be hoovered, you need to do something called no contact. Now, a lot of people, even myself, tried boundaries. It didn't quite work with the narcissist, only because they know your limits, so they keep pushing. It means that, hey, if this is the limit, it means that you're still allowing me to a certain extent, and they're gonna keep pushing. They're gonna keep pushing that to break that boundary open. This is why I say go no contact. Now, when I went no contact with him, I didn't just go no contact with him alone. I went with his family as well as his friends, because they play a key part in this cycle as well. They are what is known as flying monkeys. Flying monkeys is something we'll explore into in later videos. But basically, these are enablers of the narcissists, and they'd run back and give information and updates about you, as well as they can even run back to you and give updates about the narcissist. Like, hey, this is what they're doing with the new supply, that he was once doing with you. So that kind of keeps you stuck in the cycle. You need to go no contact with them as well. Now, I will say, when you do go no contact, because the narcissist, I guess, initially knows that you would reach out to them, because you go no contact now, it's a shift in the dynamic where you're no longer reaching out. So now they feel compelled to reach out to you, because they're so accustomed with you reaching out first. So please do not perform, this is what I must say, is do not perform going no contact with the intention of getting them back, or with the intention of getting them to reach out to you. The purpose of going no contact is to go no contact. You do not want them to reach out. You deserve better. And by entertaining them, they're just going to keep you stuck. Narcissists are the biggest time wasters. Do not waste another day, another hour, another minute, another second on these people. Go no contact. Do not entertain them. You're probably wondering, how does no contact benefit us? Other than the fact that they can't reach us again, but how do we heal in no contact? So while no contact may be tough, because you're so accustomed reaching out to this person every day, you're talking to this person. I was with him for more than 7 years, so it felt really odd. It felt foreign to me to not speak to him. But the way in which no contact works is that it creates a space. It creates a space where you're isolated. You need this space, you need this area away from them to heal, away from them and away from the flying monkeys, away from the family, away from their friends and their family. Again, I go back to the point where I was saying that they may feed you information. The flying monkeys may feed you information about the narcissist, and you may think, oh, the new supply is getting better than me. And newsflash, they're not, and we'll get into that in another video. But you may be fed information. Because you're still vulnerable, it will take hold of you. It will mess with you. It's going to mess with your self-esteem. You're going to think, I was never good enough, and now this person, he promised me a wedding, and now he's marrying her in a couple months. He promised me we'd go to this resort, and now he took her. He promised it's just for show. They do this on purpose. They do this for show. They do this because they're not original thinkers. This was maybe your idea, and they took it because they could never create something on their own. They also do this to love bomb the supply in order to keep them and start their own narcissistic abuse cycle with the new supply. So just to keep it simple and short, the new supply is not getting better. But the point of the no contact, again, is to create that space so you don't even hear about them. You need to be isolated in this time. And I'm not saying isolated from the world, but isolated from them so you can get yourself better. Contact. They're going to speak about you. They're constantly going to speak about you. If you block them, they're going to say, wow, I affected him or her so much that they had to block me. They must still be in love with me. And if they want to speak, let them. Just let them. Because guess what? Even if you don't block them, they're still going to speak about you. Let's say you didn't block them. And maybe you posted that you were out with your friends. And you said that something along the lines of, it's good to have good friends because they're a support system. And maybe you just genuinely meant that because you have a great group of friends, but they will twist that truth that you posted and they will say things like, wow, they need good friends, they need a support system because she or he is still broken over me. So whatever you post, they're gonna misconstrue. But at the same time, if you block them, they're still going to say things. But it's better to block them. It's better to block them and not give them really that ammunition. It's really good to not post anything for them to see, so that they don't turn that around and they don't try to fool people with it. Because a lot of people fall for their nonsense as well, but since they're so charismatic. Now, I know that not everyone can go no contact because maybe the narcissist is a co-worker. Or maybe the narcissist is you're co-parenting with the narcissist, and you can't exactly cut off everyone, even the narcissist, completely. So what I suggest is something called the gray rocking method. This method means you're going to be very emotionally unreactive. You're going to give short answers only. You're not going to feed into their drama. If they were to ask you anything that they could maybe twist, bite down on your tongue, don't respond to those things. And this method is really effective as well. You just need to know how to gray rock them well. You do not show any emotion. Even if you're feeling emotions, do not show these creatures any emotions at all. Do not show them that you're affected. Do not let other people that could get back to them, that could feed them information, do not let these other people know that you're bothered still. In no contact, in this period where you're sort of isolated, not from the world, but you're taking time to heal, I want you to find a support system. A support system meaning it's good to have like one or two friends that you can open up to, but I also want you to find a community, a narcissistic abuse survivor community that you could help get connected to other people and look at their stories and recognize that narcissists, though it may be a different setting, they all seem to have the same playbook. They all seem to portray the same things. They all seem to abuse everyone in the same way. They all seem to get new supplies. It's just the same things that they do. These creatures are not original. When you reach out to these people from this community, your feelings will get validated. You will understand that you're not crazy, and you will actually understand how these creatures work even more. Now, if you can, I suggest you get narcissistic therapy or coaching if you could afford it. If not, reach out. Other than reaching out to the community, look at YouTube videos just like you're looking at my video. Look at other videos of survivors who turned from victims into victors. Read books. There are a lot of books on these narcissists. Read books on them. Get educated on them. Acknowledge what they did, but also seek ways in which these people healed and learn from it. Because you need to essentially unlearn what they did to you. You need to unlearn all the gaslighting. You need to unlearn the ways in which they put you down. You need to unlearn the ways in which they broke you, especially from which they broke you from that devaluation stage. Also in this cycle, start journaling. Journaling will help. It seems, sometimes I will say that these things that we recommend doing seem so simple, but they're sometimes the most effective. Journaling, oh my God, who wants to write down what they're going through? No, take the time to do so. Journal. You have to journal. Sometimes you can't quite make sense of what's going on in your head. Journal it. Even without narcissistic abuse, anything. If you're just having a tough day, journal it. It'll help you see what is constantly replaying in your mind, and then you could pinpoint, hey, let me take a moment to step back and see, why is this replaying in my mind? After journaling, I remember my body was in such it was so stuck in something called a free state, or a frozen state. I couldn't move, I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep, I couldn't function well in work. It was really affecting me. I had to practice somatic exercises. I had to, maybe you could look up different somatic exercises. These things really help move your body. It moves your joints. It helps because a lot of trauma is stored in you, and it really keeps you stuck. So doing these exercises really helped loosened me in that sense. Also go for regular exercises. It's not about getting in shape. Getting in shape is just a byproduct of doing the exercises. But doing the exercises means it allows your mind to think about something else. So it helps your mind get disciplined other than thinking about the narcissist. You're focused on something else. So all of these essentially will work together in helping to rebuild you. There will be days that you don't feel to get up. There will be days that you don't feel to journal. There will be days you don't feel to exercise. There will be days you don't feel to speak to anyone. But you need to. Because the more you do it, it means you're showing up for yourself. And this is effectively going to work in helping you heal as well. I remember when my body was such in a frozen state. And I had to force myself to go to work. I had to force myself to interact with people. I had to force myself to just breathe. But I did. And looking back, I'm glad I did. Because even when I felt that no one was there for me, I was there for myself. So I needed to remember that healing isn't linear. It isn't like a straight up, 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 up. It's not at all. Sometimes there are dips. And in those dips, I want you to remember that we're human and these things will happen. Do not let it keep you down. You will rise again. You will feel whole again. I do promise that. After this, you journal, you do all these exercises and whatnot, and you go no contact. Another thing that we must do that a lot of people don't talk about is holding yourself accountable. Now, when I say hold yourself accountable, I do not mean you're the reason a narcissist did what they did. They did what they did because they're mental. But hold yourself accountable as to why you ignored these red flags in the first place. Yes, sometimes it's subtle, but at a point it comes out. Why were you still ignoring these red flags? For me, for example, it was because I had low self-esteem. So if he kept saying like, hey, maybe you need to lose weight, but you know what, I still love you regardless. Other people won't love you the way I would love you. I'm just telling you to lose some weight, whatever. I wouldn't see it as a red flag, because hey, he still loved me. No one else would love me because I have such low self-esteem. I had to hold myself accountable in order to recognize what made me blind to these red flags. This is really important because you don't notice the manipulation. You don't notice how subtle the gaslighting is at first. And the reason you don't notice it is because something is preventing you from noticing it. As I said, my self-esteem made me blind to it, right? So when I acknowledged this and I said, okay, if this is a problem, then it means I need to work on my self-esteem. So I hit the gym. I got better. I looked better. And in that way, it meant that my self-esteem boosted. So that if they were to come back with these backhanded compliments to control you, they can't, because you're no longer low in self-esteem. So you see, this is what I mean by holding yourself accountable for why you didn't recognize these flags or these traits about them, I should say, before, And I kind of tie that into why they tend to downgrade to new supplies. They don't get it. And I'm not saying you were a downgrade, but they do downgrade from you, right? They tend to downgrade because they're looking at ways they could control people. So in the same sense, I had a low self-esteem, the new supplier is going to have an even lower self-esteem, you know, because the narcissist in hindsight is going to look like a trophy to them. So it's really important to really get these or understand why you allow these traits to happen, to control you. Then once you hold yourself accountable and once you fix the parts of yourself that needed to be fixed, I promise you won't get back in this cycle again. It's really important so that this hoovering won't happen. So, you know, narcissists, they really study you. Just like we're studying them, they study you as well. So if they know, hey, you have low self-esteem, they know how to put on a certain mask to control you again from the hoovering stage that could lead to love bombing. This is why all of these steps are important. And this is why I think hoovering is the most crucial one. People might say the discard, people might say the evaluation. I think it's hoovering. And by getting yourself better, it shows that you deserve better, which is quite the opposite of these narcissistic creatures. So, you know, breaking free from the narcissistic abuse cycle, that's just one step. It's all these other things you have to do after so that you don't re-enter these cycles to be recycled. This isn't a one-time thing. It's a journey. It's a process. There are going to be ups and downs, but we're here for you. That's why we have this community, especially in those moments where you dip. It takes courage, it takes support, but most importantly, it takes your self-compassion to help get through this. You need to forgive yourself. You need to not beat down on yourself. You're not going to get better if you beat down on yourself. Oh, I can't believe I allowed him to do this to me. You may ask yourself that in the stage of when you're holding them accountable. But it's important that when you recognize it, move on from it. You learn from it, you heal from it, you move on. Don't stay stuck. So I want you to know that if you're still in it or just getting out, you're not broken, you're not alone, you're not crazy. Okay, we've all been through it. You are just waking up. And waking up to it could be very tough. It's a tough pill to swallow, but you will get through it. So if you think you've related to this in any way, please drop a comment below, or maybe tell me ways in which I could improve on these videos, or what you'd like to see next. Leave a like, and please share maybe to someone else who needs to hear it. Remember, yes, you may be a victim, but you will turn into a victor. I'll see you in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.